The first sound I heard wasn't my mother's voice. It was the dull, sickening thud of her body hitting the kitchen floor. I remember the way the glass shattered next. A plate she'd been holding slipped from her hand and exploded against the tiles, pieces skidding across the room like they were trying to escape what was happening. And then there was her breath, sharp, uneven, like every inhale was a fight she was already losing. "Mom?" I dropped everything and ran to her. "Mom, look at me, stay with me." Her eyes were wide, terrified, searching my face like I was the last thing tethering her to the world. Her hand clutched at her chest, trembling. "My heart," she whispered. That's when I screamed for my husband. "Daniel, I need you. Now." I didn't ease into that moment. There was no time to think, no time to process, just panic. Just the overwhelming, suffocating realization that if I didn't act fast, I might lose her right there on the cold kitchen floor. He appeared in the doorway a few seconds later, keys already in his hand, jacket half on. "What's going on?" he asked, irritated, like I'd interrupted something important. "She's having chest pains. We need to get her to the ER. Now. Please, get the truck." He didn't move. I'll never forget that part. Not the panic, not the fear, but the way he just stood there. "Not my problem," he said flatly. "Figure it out." For a second I thought I misheard him. My brain refused to accept it. "What?" My voice cracked. "Daniel, she can't breathe, she could die." He sighed, glancing at his watch. "I'm already late. I told the guys I'd be there by 9. Are you serious right now?" I felt something inside me start to break. "This is my mother, and?" He shrugged. "You've got neighbors. Call an ambulance. We live 30 minutes out," I shot back. "You know that. The truck is right there. Please, just help me get her in." He shook his head, like I was being unreasonable. "I'm not getting involved in this drama tonight," he muttered. "I need a break." And then he walked out. Just like that. The door slammed behind him, and the sound echoed through the house like something final, something irreversible. For a moment, I just stared at it, frozen, disbelieving. Then my mother gasped again, and reality snapped back into place. I grabbed my phone with shaking hands and called the only person I could think of, Mr. Lawson, our neighbor 2 houses down. He picked up on the second ring. "Mr. Lawson, please, I need help." My mom collapsed. "Daniel's not here. I can't get her to the hospital." There was no hesitation in his voice. "I'm on my way." Those 5 minutes felt like hours. I stayed on the floor beside my mom, holding her hand, whispering to her, begging her to stay with me. Her skin felt colder with every second. Her breathing got weaker. "Don't leave me," I whispered. "Please, don't leave me." When headlights finally cut through the darkness outside, I almost cried from relief. Mr. Lawson rushed in without even knocking. He didn't ask questions. He didn't hesitate. He just knelt down beside us and said, "We're getting her out of here." Together, we carried her to his car. Not Daniel's truck. Not the man who vowed to stand by me in sickness and in health. But a neighbor who owed us nothing. The drive to the hospital was a blur of red lights, whispered prayers, and my mother's fading voice. They rushed her into the ER the second we arrived. And then, I was alone, sitting in a hard plastic chair, staring at the double doors that had swallowed her whole. Mr. Lawson stayed with me for a while. He brought me coffee I didn't drink. He told me she'd be okay, even though we both knew he couldn't promise that. Around midnight, the doctor finally came out. "She had a major cardiac event," he said gently. "You brought her in, just in time." Just in time. Those 3 words hit me harder than anything else. If we had waited, if I hadn't called, if Mr. Lawson hadn't come. I closed my eyes, and for the first time that night, I let myself cry. That should have been the worst part. But it wasn't. The first red flag didn't come from my husband leaving. It came from what happened next. Around 2 a.m., my phone started buzzing. Daniel. I ignored it. Then again. And again. By the time I finally looked at the screen, there were 12 missed calls. A text popped up. Where are you? Another one. Why aren't you answering? And then, you better not be making me look like the bad guy. I stared at that message, my hands suddenly still. Not is your mom okay? Not do you need me? Not even I'm sorry, just that. That's when something shifted inside me. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was quiet. Like a door closing. By morning, there were 38 missed calls. 38. I sat there in the hospital hallway, watching the sun rise through a narrow window, and I realized something I had been avoiding for years. This wasn't a one-time thing. This wasn't stress, or a bad day, or poor judgment. This was who he was. And somehow, I had been making excuses for it. The way he dismissed my feelings. The way he treated my family like they were an inconvenience. The way everything always had to revolve around him. I thought about all the times I stayed silent. All the times I told myself, it's not that bad. All the times I chose peace over truth. And suddenly, I couldn't do it anymore. When the doctor told me my mom was stable but needed monitoring, I went into her room. She looked smaller in that hospital bed. Fragile, but alive. Her eyes opened when she heard me. You stayed, she whispered. Of course I did, I said, holding her hand. She studied my face for a long moment. Then, in a voice that was barely there, she asked, "Where's Daniel?" I didn't answer right away. Because I didn't know how to explain that the man who was supposed to be part of our family had walked away when it mattered most. He had something else, I said finally. Her expression didn't change, but I saw it. The understanding, the quiet disappointment, and something else. Clarity. That same afternoon, she asked to speak to a lawyer. I didn't think much of it at first. I assumed it was about medical decisions, or updating paperwork after a scare. But when the lawyer arrived, she asked me to stay. I want everything clear, she said. The conversation that followed changed everything. I've been thinking, my mother said, her voice weak but steady. About what matters. About who shows up. The lawyer nodded. I'd like to update my will. I felt my chest tighten slightly. Okay, he said. What changes would you like to make? She turned her head and looked at me. And then she said something I will never forget. I want to make sure that the people who stood by me are the ones who are taken care of. My breath caught. She continued, slowly but firmly. I'm removing Daniel. The room went completely still. And, she added, I want to leave something for Mr. Lawson. I blinked. What? He saved my life, she said simply. He did what family is supposed to do. The lawyer nodded, making notes. And Audrey, she said, squeezing my hand, everything else goes to you. No conditions. No sharing. Tears filled my eyes. Mom, you don't have to. Yes, I do, she interrupted gently. I've seen enough. That was the moment everything became real. Not just emotionally, but legally. Final. When Daniel finally showed up at the hospital later that evening, he acted like nothing had happened. Why didn't you answer your phone? He snapped, walking into the room like he owned it. Do you know how that made me look? I stared at him. For the first time, I really looked at him. And I didn't recognize the man I married. My mother almost died, I said quietly. She's fine now, he shrugged. So what's the big deal? The words hit harder than any shout ever could. That was my breaking point. Not the night before, not the 38 missed calls. This. The complete absence of empathy. I need you to leave, I said. He frowned. What? Leave, I repeated, louder this time. Audrey, don't start. Get out. The nurse glanced over. The room felt smaller, tighter. You're being dramatic, he scoffed. No, I said, my voice steady. I'm being done. He laughed like I couldn't possibly mean it, but I did. And for the first time, he saw it. Really saw it. Something in my face must have told him this wasn't another argument he could win. He left. And that was the last time he ever walked into my life like he belonged there. What he didn't know, what he couldn't have known, was that the decision had already been made hours earlier. Not just emotionally, but permanently. The weeks that followed were quiet, in a way that felt unfamiliar, peaceful even. My mom recovered slowly, but she got stronger every day. And with every step forward she took, I took one too. I filed for divorce. No screaming, no revenge, just paperwork. Just truth. Daniel tried to fight it at first. Then he tried to charm his way back in. Then he got angry. Because somewhere along the way, he had convinced himself that everything I had was his too. Including what he thought he would inherit one day. He didn't know about the will. Not yet. That part came later. And when it did, it was quiet. Just like everything else. No dramatic reveal, no shouting, just a lawyer's office, a document, and the look on his face when he realized there was nothing left for him. Not the house, not the savings, not even a symbolic amount, nothing. Because in the moment that mattered most, he chose to walk away. And my mother remembered that. People think revenge has to be loud, explosive, messy. But the truth is, the most powerful kind is silent. It's boundaries, it's consequences. It's letting people live with the reality of what they chose. Daniel lost everything he assumed was his. Not because I took it, but because he showed us he never deserved it in the first place. As for me, I didn't win anything material that day. What I gained was something far more valuable. Clarity. Freedom. And the unshakable understanding that the people who truly matter are the ones who show up when it counts. Not when it's easy. Not when it benefits them. But when it's hard. When it's inconvenient. When it matters most. And sometimes, those people aren't the ones you expect. Sometimes, they're the ones who owe you nothing, but give you everything anyway.